name's Kevin Benedict. I'm SMAC Analyst here at Cognizant, and SMAC is the acronym for Social Mobile Analytics and Cloud. I have to say that, Sahara.
Yes.
And I want to introduce Sahara Alexis, and she's Head of Advisory Services here at Cognizant Mobility. Thanks for joining us today, Sahara.
Thanks, Kevin.
Got a question for you.
Sure.
What mobile projects are easy, relatively easy, and which ones become very difficult? And what is the difference between those two? How do you go about doing a successful project and versus the ones that turn out to be real big headaches?
Well, I would say that some of the easier projects are ones that are predefined, like creating a mobile app.
Okay.
Somebody's already defined what it is. You write a spec, have an idea. The things that could be more, quote unquote, challenging, I would say, versus difficult, is challenging, is starting off to say, what is my mobility strategy? Or what is my vision for mobility for my company? Those are hard because it's forcing you to think outside the box. It's not taking something that is prescriptive. It's engaging different segments of your business to come together and collaborate around what your future looks like and tying that specifically to a business objective.
Who needs to be in the room for that kind of discussion?
I think it should be a joint mix between business as well as IT. Mobility is not owned by anyone in particular, but it controls or can influence the whole organization. So a good mix between people who are responsible for security, infrastructure, data, as well as the business. The business people own the scenarios in these cases. And the IT group cannot define what structure and process they want to have in place until they understand how that technology is going to be leveraged in the enterprise.
How do you convince a company to move outside of IT and to have these bigger kind of discussions around mobile strategy?
Well, I think that's probably the hardest job that anyone has in not only 2012, but also in 2013. And the reason why is that it's like the chicken or egg conversation. Is IT driving it or is the business driving it? And sometimes if you don't have a compelling case on either side, people don't have a strong interest for it. When you start tying mobility to your key performance indicators or your business objectives or to benefits themselves, then people are like, well, I get more motivated because I can see where or how something's going to impact my bottom line in one way or another. So having the conversations to start from how is it impacting the business in an overall perspective is an easier conversation versus saying, what kind of mobility platform am I going to use? Or what kind of use case am I going to do?
I've been blogging since 2006 on my blog site, mobileenterprisestrategies.com. There's over 2,000 articles there. When I go back and look at what I was writing on in 2006, it was how do you use your IPACs for business value, or how to use a barcode scanner to create efficiencies in your logistics systems, things like that. Today, though, mobility has evolved to the point where it is changing entire industries.
Yes.
Let me just give you an example. I was talking to several very large banks who have a lot of questions around competitors who are mobile-only banks. They don't even have physical branches. Everything their customers do is downloaded from like iTunes Store, where they can get a mobile bank app where they can make deposits, they can do transactions, they can do everything they want, and there's not even a building associated.
Yes.
Mobility is to the point where it can change entire industries. So to your point, you need to have the business in there because that's not an IT discussion when the whole business model is being impacted.
Right. So I think if you look over the last couple of years, mobility was really about getting an app out there because consumers were used to experiencing, products and things of that sort through a mobile device.
Right.
So the enterprise was like, let me get something out there. Now it's become more so, well, we know about this. How are you improving my life? Am I gaining efficiencies? Right. And so then it becomes more about how can we change some of these models, like you said, a mobile-only banking. The more traditional landscape of our generation and prior, people went into the bank. But right now, a lot of the things that the new generation is doing is primarily transactional based. They don't need to know who their teller is,
Right.
right? They can, authorize a loan to be
Yes.
done over
Yes.
some form of a mobile device.
So let's go back to the initial question.
Yes.
How do you kind of set up a successful project so that it is successful? What are the components there that you line up to make sure the project's going to be the best project it can?
I would say that the key objectives is understand whatever that you're going to be doing with mobility, how does it impact the business?
Okay.
Does your use case or scenario that you want to have mobilized or your process, how does it support the business or can change the business?
Okay.
Having clear direction on what that is first and foremost. The next question is this one piece of a puzzle or is this all of it? Because if it's a small piece of a bigger puzzle, you need to have more stakeholders in the room to have the conversation to say, is this going to be the initial stepping stone and then we're going to have 5, 6, or 10 more applications similar to this, because it changes the kind of decisions that you'll make on your technology platforms and your landscapes. And do you need to have an enterprise-wide mobility infrastructure to support mobile going forward? I think people have hurried because of the devices, i.e. iPads and tablets coming into the marketplace, to create an application because they want to use the device first, not necessarily understanding the process, the business process, and how it can be impacted and how it can actually provide value through the device itself.
Sahara, thank you for sharing those thoughts. In part 2
Yes.
of our discussion, we're going to talk about mobile center of excellence and what do those look like.